Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8, and this is part 5 of Let's Read Warhammer 40,000 or 40K Core Rulebook. Today's spot is the Alien Tides. For as long as humanity has sailed the stars, they have encountered alien races. These races, broadly classified as Xenos by the Adeptus Terra, have on occasion proved valuable allies, whom to battle mutual foes. More often, by far, they are themselves the enemy, and must be fought to the death lest they butcher, devour, or enslave the worlds of mankind. For 10,000 years, from the westernmost reaches of the Segmentum Pacificus to the most far-flung listening stations of the eastern fringe, the Imperium has made war upon the myriad alien races, and has made war upon it in its turn. To an authoritarian regime such as the Adeptus Terra, there is little room for ambiguity when it comes to the hated Xenos, and no consideration given to the possible benefits of alliance or truce with any of them. That which is inhuman is unclean, and must therefore be destroyed. The realities of combat in the field are rarely as binary, however. On many occasions throughout its long history, the armies of the Imperium have found common cause with more comprehensible xenospecies, even on occasion those deemed monstrous when faced with yet worse perils. In particular, this is true of the craft world Eldari, or the more mysterious Harlequins, with whom the temporary accords have been struck. Yet even these pacts seem always to manipulate mankind's destiny in an unforeseen way. Aware of the eldritch abilities of the Eldari, plentiful Imperial commanders have embraced mutual annihilation on their own terms, rather than set aside their ingrained xenophobia. The wars against the Orc menace have been comparatively simple, if at times utterly devastating. Setting aside the odd, unconfirmed report of illicit trade, the alleged green-skinned sub-factions, humanity and the Orcs have been at one another's throats near constantly for the better part of 10 millennia. The Orc race is so incredibly prolific that the few indeed are the star systems without at least a hint of the green-skin presence. Moreover, these crude and anarchic aliens are so aggressive that to encounter them at all is to find oneself embroiled in an immediate and rapidly escalating war that it soon becomes clear is being fought as much for the Orcs' sheer enjoyment as for any coherent material gain. Such sudden and senseless conflicts are bad enough, but Imperial history is littered with examples of those times when greenskin numbers have reached critical mass upon some world or system, and a war has begun. From the notorious War of the Beast to the Second and Third Armageddon Wars, and the unstoppable advance of the arch-arsonist of Charadon, such occasions have seen the Imperium virtually brought to its knees by this brutal and widespread foe. Some Xenos threats to the Imperium are more ancient than humanity itself. This is true of the myriad Eldari factions, but equally so of their ghoulish nemesis of old, the Necrons. Imperial historians know little of the origins of the race of murderous alien androids, and much of the knowledge they have successfully gathered has been delivered by the arrogant and often insane overlords of the Necrons themselves, casting it veracity into doubt. It is certain, however, that the Necron race plunged themselves into millennia of hibernation long ago, perhaps seeking to outlast or evade some deadly foe. Now they are awakening again, their buried complexes of stasis tubes rumbling to life beneath the surface of countless worlds scattered across the galaxy. The Inquisitors of the Ordo Xenos suggest that the Necron race is fractured into many factions, and that thanks to the ravages of time, it has emerged from its long sleep damage in both body and mind. For all this, the Necrons are a terrifying and ineffable foe. In conflicts such as the battle for the ice-locked war zone of Damnos have proved to the Imperium that nothing short of an overwhelming military response stands any chance of overcoming the Necrons' eldritch technologies, or the shackled godlike beings that they goad into battle. By comparison, the Imperium also faces Xenos threats that are comparatively young and vital, or else had only made their appearance upon the galactic stage of late. When the explorator ships first marked the home world of the Xenos race classified as the Tau, they found a relatively primitive society that were marked for potential further study or exploitation and then ignored. The next the Imperium saw of the Tau was when the aliens' technology advanced and ideologically driven empires surged into the eastern fringe. How the Tau could have possibly advanced so swiftly was beyond the ken of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and thus swiftly put down to monstrous alien heresy. A more pertinent question appeared to be how to best drive them back. The most serious attempt yet by the Imperium to do so came to be known as the Damocles Crusade, and at best the bloody and protracted war could be adjudged to a draw. Unable to keep pace with the rapid maneuvering of Tau forces in constant danger of losing outlying populations to the utopian promises of the aliens' water-caste diplomats, Imperial commanders were at last forced to enact a broad-frontage annihilation protocol that employed ancient Adeptus Mechanicus technology to mutually deny a firebreak of worlds in the path of the Tau advance. It was a desperate act that put an end to a desperate war, but it seems unlikely that this last Imperium will see the dynamic Tau Empire. In the meanwhile, however, the Tyranids had begun to assail the fringes of the galaxy, and it rapidly became clear to the beleaguered Imperium that here was a new terror to rival anything alien they had faced before. Descending in vast and rapacious swarms, the Tyranids appeared at first to be little more than predatory animals, incredibly dangerous, certainly, but limited by their lack of higher intelligent yet motivation, yet as more and more Tyranid tendrils push into the galaxy as hive fleets adapt rapidly to each new military encounter, seed mutant cults through imperial societies, and react with ominous cunning to each fresh attempt to understand or destroy them. An understanding has spread through the Ordos Xenos, and beyond that, these aliens are driven by some vast hive mind that seems focused on the eradication of all non-Tyranid life in the galaxy. All races must now face this terrible threat if they wish to survive. But the great rift sundering the stars and the agents of the dark gods, spreading death and anarchy through every sector of imperial space, can any one power truly muster the strength to turn the Tyranid tide? If the common herd had any idea how many aliens batter at our walls, why most would lose their backward little minds with fear. Oh, they know of the orc, of course, if only as brutish green boogeymen. The well-informed or terribly unfortunate may be cognizant of terrors such as the Tyranids, the Risen, or the perfidious Eldari. In all likelihood, though such knowledgeable folk don't live long enough to benefit from their enlightenment, and these beings are but the fin of the void whale. I have traveled further across the stars, and seen more and stranger sights than the ignorant masses could even conceive of. I have done business with beings that would haunt their nightmares. I have hunted or been hunted in turn by beings so divorced from humanity that even I struggle to comprehend their sheer grotesquerie. The Cetarian flesh takers, hope weavers, the thrusters of the riftborn, I still shudder at the memory of the last. The truth is that for all our might we are laughably outnumbered. Better to take what you can from the Xenos and steer clear of the really nasty ones while you can. You'll live longer that way. Triad of Damocles, the iron snakes of Ithaca, is clad in slate gray armor, one shoulder marked with a blue coiled snake upon a white field. Iron snake, indomitable, relentless. The hour is approaching, the final hour, the ending of the fight, the end of the undertaking. The skin of his armor is crazed with a million tiny nicks and gouges, scratches and grazes. The place is called Barad Atyok, in the voice of the greenskins. This means Kill Hill. It is the highest peak of the western continent of the world Koram Moat. Triad of Damocles, of the Iron Snakes of Ithaca, knows this for a fact. He knows it because there is not one place, not one single lonely part of the western continent of the world Koram Moat that he has not been to, measured, cleared of enemies, and conquered. He knows Kill Hill is the highest peak because his armor's visor tells him so, to 8 decimal places. It is 61 meters higher than Ashtar, known as the Blood Summit, and a mere 7 meters higher than Barad Angul, or the Marrowbone Hill. It is demonstrably, technically, the highest peak on the western continent of the world of Carboat, and that is what matters. Screamer Vox Signal to Ithaca Bacon, extraction point highest geofeature western continent. Greenskins await in the slip line of the rocks as he sets. Another day on the Coral Moat, more to kill. Ever more to kill. Another day on the Coral Moat, except for this last day. Priad of Damocles, of the iron snakes of Ithaca, still carries his bolt gun, though it has been dry of rounds since the 7th year of the undertaking. The pod dropped, ammo hoppers, finally emptied. It is too beautiful and precious a weapon to leave behind. Priad bears his power sword and his automated claws. They still function. He had fashioned a lance too, but he left it behind last night rammed through the gizzard of a greenskin war boss in the lower slopes of Barad-Ajok. As good as place any to leave it. The first of the greenskins rush in howling rage. They are all spittle and slack, trembling lips filled with rot-pang teeth. Their animal bulks painted with ochre, chalk, and woad. Spears and cleavers rip at him, more tiny marks on the patina of his armor. He has been here for 15 years. 15 years. Still, the greenskins haven't learned they cannot kill him. They will not ever kill him. If he stays any longer, the highest peak on the western continent will be the mound of greenish-skinned corpses he has stacked up. He meets the first, braced armor joints locking to withstand a collision. Clouds it aside, greets the second, and decapitates it. Its lungs are still exhaling a war cry, and air slaps and farts out of the severed throat pipe as it pitches away. Blood droplets in the air. The third, a dull steel axe head, sparks off the Priad's shoulder guard. His lightning claws fly to throat and chest and forth through the flesh as if it were wet parchment. A fourth, his sword takes off an arm, and the axe its holding. Priad kicks his amplified blow, casting the maimed greenskin down the slip-line scree. Head over heels, he catches the axe out of the air. It is still spinning and flailing, falling, slipping from the dead arm that is also still spinning and falling. He is moving so fast, it is as though time has slowed down to wait for him, as though the green skin left him the axe in midair for him to take, and as if the air held it for Priad like an obedient servitor. He catches the axe, turns it, and buries it in the face of the fifth. Blood spray, on and on up the slope. Priad of Damocles of the iron snakes of Ithaca has been here for 15 years. To the human mind, that is a great chunk of lifetime. To an imperial guardsman, that would be a long and heartless tour in hell. To Priad, it is an undertaking, a period of occupation, of duty. Onerous, perhaps, grueling even, but in the end, just another mission notch on his service history. Just another action to while away a life that will be functionally immortal if violent death does not claim him. He looks forward to seeing Ithaca again. He looks forward to surroundings of the Cavardis and the Fortress Moon and the Chapter House. He looks forward to seeing his brothers in Damocles' squad. He looks forward to the right of returning. These are the only consolations he permits himself, the only comforts for the vestigial humanity he allows in a mind that otherwise has been focused weapon for 15 years. He looks forward to speaking to another soul for the first time since the undertaking began. The silence has been long. He looks forward to cleaning and mending his armor, to polishing out the million scratches, to servicing his bolt gun, to sleeping for a term more fully than the half-rest periods he has eked out in his Catalaspian node, that he cannot be taken by surprise. 15 years hold the Greenskins clans at Coramo, said the chapter master. Keep them occupied, focus their attention. Stem their numbers, buy us time, to range the battle fleet Reef Star against their base world and purge them. How long will it take to maneuver the fleet in position, Pride asked. Not long, 15 years. Entirely reasonable for a moment. Pride had been concerned that it might be a significant length of time. Great Petric's 2 centuries spent holding Ankleos might have become tedious by the end. Steelmen are less entertaining to hunt than greenskins. He's reaching the summit. One of the suns is coming up in the south. The light is yellow, sidelong. He sees a bright speck like a low star to the west. Running lights inside his visor. A chime sounds and an icon illuminates. 2 minutes out, the last 2 minutes of 15 years. There are greenskins on the summit. He has become a myth to them, a monster, a hunting and killing them across the western continent for 15 years. They want him dead, but they cannot have him dead. He cuts one in half with his sword and punches the face of another with his claws. A war boss looms, twice Pride's size, laughing at an ogre. Grunting, infrasonic boom, axe sides swung to chop, huge, but just so slow. Pride of Damocles of the Iron Snakes of Ithaca leaps over him, drops in behind, cuts through a tree trunk's spinal column with his sword, cuts throat blubber as the war boss sprawls. Vast body no longer working, Pride lobs the giant bloodied hands aside as they spasm and grope at him. He delivers the killing blow. Ithaca, he cries, the first word he has said aloud in 15 years on Crow Moat, and the last. The Thunderhawk prowers in, hanging overhead, settling down onto Kill Hill, ramp open, thrusters screaming. The 15 years are done. He wonders what they will have him do tomorrow. I hope everyone out there had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.